head-to-head with names like Schumacher, Loeb, Bourdais, Kanaan, and Gronholm. There's a brand new circuit. No gravel, no advantage. Everyone starts with a clean sheet of paper. Who will be the fastest of all? The Race of Champions settles it, starting right now. The ROC began near Paris in 1988, and after 16 runnings, the last 12 in the Canary Islands, the Race of Champions is back in the City of Lights. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Varsha. Welcome to the 17th edition of this event, for the first time ever being held in the Stade de France. This is the venue where France won soccer's World Cup in 1998. Just 7 days ago, there was a rugby game held on the grass of the Stade de France, but as soon as the players were off the field, work began on the installation of an above-ground, all-asphalt, two-lane racetrack complete with an infield crossover. Now, less than a week later, everything is ready for the big show. Michelle Mouton, a former World Rally winner, is the founder and co-organizer of the Race of Champions. She has been the heart and soul of this event from the very beginning. On Friday, the world's best drivers got to turn their first laps on the 1 kilometer-long, 22-foot-wide asphalt racetrack. Down on the floor right now is the other member of our Speed Channel team, my fellow Formula One commentator, Peter Windsor.
Thanks, Bob. Yes, an electric atmosphere here on the floor of the Stade de France, where only a week ago 80,000 fans were watching an international rugby union match. Now it's a very different story. We have a racetrack here, two identical racetracks, and behind me some of the greatest drivers in the world who will be competing in identical cars. They're doing a photo shoot right now. As you can see, a massive amount of interest. The racing's going to start soon. We're going to see world champions from many disciplines of motorsport all competing in identical cars. Let's get on with the action.
Thanks, Peter, and those cars will include state-of-the-art World Rally machinery, the Ferrari 360 Modena Challenge model, and special one-of-a-kind ROC buggies. The Race of Champions began as an all-rally affair, but in recent years it's been expanded to include pavement racers, and an American contingent is on hand this weekend as well. But the biggest name here this weekend has to be seven-time Formula One world champion Michael Schumacher. Renewing acquaintances with old rivals Jean Alesi and contemporary David Coulthard. Earlier, Peter Windsor spoke with Schumacher about the challenges he faces in his first appearance here.
So far as the Ferrari, the comments you're making there about the Ferrari being quite a big, heavy car for this sort of track, do you think that, therefore, one style of driving, maybe the rally style, might suit it more than the race driver, or the other way around?
I mean, on this type of a circuit, I would think so, yes, that those guys should beat us heavily.
They should, of course, but have you done anything like this before? Where you've actually been able to enjoy oversteer for the first time in your life?
I mean, sometimes I do test those cars on our race circuits, but it's completely different because it's a lot more space and a lot wider circuits, and you drive differently. You drive a certain amount of oversteer, but not as much as you might need on such a tiny little twisty circuit. So I'm not used to that drive. I'll find out how I deal with it.
Finally, I'll let somebody else have a go. You've just got back from the United States. Been on vacation there, or perhaps you can working with Jeff Gordon perhaps on some strategy this weekend?
Exactly, we've been practicing secretly in the States.
Thank you.
Well, Michael's certainly in a very relaxed mood this weekend. He's certainly not the only big name on hand. Let's take a look at the lineup. Sebastian Loeb is the 2004 World Rally Champion and last year's individual winner. The very popular Jean Alesi, a veteran of Formula One and touring car action. 98 IRL champion and 99 Indy 500 winner Kenny Breck represents Team Sweden alongside Matthias Ekstrom, the 2004 DTM touring car champion. Colin McRae, the 95 World Rally champ, won the Race of Champions in 1998. His partner and Team Great Britain is David Coulthard, winner of 13 Formula One Grand Prix, his first visit here. Brazil is represented by Sauber Formula One driver and former Formula 3000 champion Felipe Massa and IRL IndyCar Series titleist Tony Kanaan. Marcus Gronholm, World Rally champion in 2000 and 2002, also a former winner of the individual title at this event. He's backed up by young HEIKKI Kovalainen, the 2004 winner of the World Series by Nissan. Champ Car titleist Sebastien Bourdais is part of a second French team, Team PlayStation, alongside Stéphane Sarrazin, 2004 French Rally champion, and newly signed by Team Subaru for next year. Armin Schwartz of Germany is the European Rally Champion from 1996, and he will partner Michael Schumacher. Representing the USA is NASCAR Nextel Cup runner-up Jimmy Johnson. His scheduled teammate, however, has changed. Once again, here's Peter.
Yeah, Bob, sadly, a major change in the U.S. driver lineup. Jeff Gordon unable to make the Race of Champions at the last minute. He's unwell, and we wish him the very best, of course. But he's replaced admirably taken by Casey Mears. Great to see you here, Casey. First of all, what's the news on Jeff?
Well, last we talked, he's doing a lot better. He just had a bad case of the flu and got very dehydrated and had a really bad migraine. So, I mean, he's slowly coming back, but he just wasn't quite ready to come and do something like this. And like I said, we all wish him well. And good friend of mine. You know, I hate that he's not feeling good, but great opportunity for me to come here and have a good time.
Well, great to see you in the Race of Champions again. A rush trip. You've only been here for a couple of hours. Tell us about coming over from the NASCAR dinner, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And before that, I just found out the morning of yesterday. You know, so they called me and said, "Hey, we need you." I flew out to New York, went to the NASCAR banquet, and then straight from there, we've had about 5 hours of sleep. And Global Express took us out on their plane, so I really appreciate that. And a lot of fun, though. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a good time. We haven't had a whole lot of practice. We're going to get like 2 laps in a buggy, and I've never driven a Ferrari, and my first time in it, I'm going to be racing, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully we can do good for Jeff.
Well, we look forward to watching both of you. Very, very best of luck. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, cheers, Casey.
Well, as Casey mentioned, he does have some experience of this event, having run it in the Canary Islands last year. But, as he mentioned, Jimmy Johnson, and this man, Michael Schumacher, just arrived a couple of hours ago and got no practice. Schumacher is a part of the driver introductions. We'll take a break and come back to lay out the rules of play and get to it. Head-to-head competition among most of the best in the world coming your way here on Speed Channel in just a moment. And the Stade de France, where the Race of Champions is about to get underway. A few minutes ago, driver introductions took place on the front straight amid much pomp and ceremony. And there's a class picture worth having. The Race of Champions, class of 2005. Now here's how it works. Competition for the Henry Toivonen Trophy, honoring the late rally star, consists of drivers competing in a head-to-head series of single elimination rounds, split between racing and rally divisions to determine class champions. Then the winners from the 2 divisions go head-to-head in a 2-out-of-3 heat format for the title Champion of Champions. The pairings were determined via blind draw. Some drivers, though, such as Jimmy Johnson and Tony Kanaan, find themselves in the rally category because of their off-road experience. To be sure, each country has at least 1 driver in each division. First up, highlights of the quarterfinal matchup between racing division drivers HEIKKI KOVALAINEN of Finland in the white ROC buggy and David Coulthard from the British team in red. Each race is made up of 4 laps of this side-by-side circuit, asphalt laid out on plywood over the grass of the Stade de France Stadium. And at the end of the 4 laps, with the aid of a penalty for touching the trackside wall to Coulthard, KOVALAINEN scored the upset. Afterward, Peter spoke with DC.
Well, David, first race in the Race of Champions at the Stade de France. Touched the barrier there just, did we?
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, an element of seriousness comes into it, but without a new tyres, completely cold, straight off the line, is a little bit unfair. But anyway, we're both in the same situation. Touch the barrier, so a 10-second penalty. So that's that first phase. I'm out of that.
Next up, it was the quarterfinal from the rally division. Former world champ Colin McRae in the all-red Citroën against Matthias Ekstrom with the white roof, and McRae gets hard into the wall, and he too would suffer a 10-second penalty. Ekstrom, however, obviously giving it everything in these 300 horsepower 4-cylinder turbo World Rally cars. Ekstrom, a great all-round talent, DTM champion, great rally driver, great side-by-side finish, but this one would go to Ekstrom, and he had a notion.
And Matthias, first of all, congratulations on a great season on DTM, and you've been winning rallies. How did you get on there against Colin McRae, who's very quick?
Yeah, I mean, I lost with 4,000, but it might be that he hit the wall too hard, so we will see what they decided.
Well, the judges decided that this clouding of the trackside barrier by Colin McRae was deserving of the penalty, so Ekstrom advances. Next again, 2 racing drivers in ROC buggies. Casey Mears with the American flag atop his white buggy, going up against former Grand Prix great Jean Alesi. ALESI away into the early lead on the shorter radius, so he has the advantage on this first lap. But listen to the crowd for their fellow Frenchman. 62,000 fans on hand. Now this is the one car in which Casey Mears and Jimmy Johnson got some practice. They weigh about 1,000 pounds, powered by Honda CBR 1100 motorcycle engines with 6-speed sequential gearboxes. Very, very quick. ALESI picking up the victory over Mears by a half second.
But Casey, that looked like a really good run, particularly considering the rush that this whole thing's been taking place.
Yeah, I mean, we just got here and took 2 laps, and then we went back in the dressing room, and as soon as we got back there, they said, run, it's your time to get in the car. So I run and got in the car, and just a little bit of a panic. You know, I think that we had a good run. We were right there. ALESI just got us by a little bit, so hopefully we can get them back next time around.
Another quarterfinal now for the rally drivers, and Marcus Grönholm gets away in the red Citroën while his opponent, Stéphane Sarrazin of France, stalls at the line. So even though Sarrazin got back on the road, he lost to Grönholm. Let's get back to Peter.
From the other part of the USA team,
yes.
First of all, how's the jet lag?
Jet lag's not bad, and the reason is because we haven't been to sleep yet, really. So we got a short nap, and I don't even know what time it is. It's dark outside, so I guess it's in the afternoon here. But this is cool to be able to come and race. This is what a racer loves to do. Just take your helmet bag and travel and show up somewhere and race. And to be able to travel across the pond and be here in Paris to race in this event is pretty cool.
Absolutely. We'll all be rooting for you. Best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now Jimmy Johnson will be coming up shortly in the rally class against German Armin Schwartz. But right now, quarterfinal number 3 for racing drivers. There is Sebastien Bourdais, the Champ Car World Series titleist, going up against Swede Kenny Bräck, the former IRL champion, in the white ROC buggy. Oh, and a huge hit for Bräck. Right at the turnout where the cars leave the floor of the stadium, and that cost him the race. Remember, this is head-to-head, single elimination. You lose, and you are done. Bourdais advances. Here's another look at what happened to Bräck. Hard on the gas in that buggy. You saw he just lost traction and hit the fence.
Well, Sebastien, great to see you here, and an early victory for you.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened to Kenny, but apparently he had a problem. Although
He hit the wall, actually.
I think we were pretty much in front of him all the way, so it was a good race. But you know, he's just coming back from his terrific, frightening accident. So just very happy to keep going, and you know, it was the aim of the game to try and go as far as we can and enjoy the race. In front of that kind of crowd, it's such a great feeling, you know. For me, I don't have a lot of time to spend in France, and I never race there anymore, so it's really cool.
Very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Sebastien Bourdais in his second ROC appearance. Coming up, American Jimmy Johnson will return to a packed Stade de France and the race of champions in just a moment. Welcome back to the Stade de France and the 2004 Race of Champions here on Speed Channel. I'm Bob Varsha. On the line, our third quarterfinal for rally drivers. There's German Armin Schwartz. He's going up against American Jimmy Johnson with the red roof to the right of your screen. Now consider the challenge Jimmy Johnson faces here. He's in a four-wheel drive, triple differential, state-of-the-art World Rally car. He has never driven this car before, has had no practice whatsoever after his late arrival from the NASCAR banquet in New York, and he's up against one of the best rally drivers in the world. No surprise then that Schwartz takes the victory over Johnson. Here's another look at Jimmy in action. Oh, and a spin and back into the wall.
Oh, Jimmy, how was it?
Not too good. If I practiced well, and then when the race started, I went terribly. The car had a little bit more understeer than the one I practiced in, so I thought that I should maybe use the rear brake, and I didn't realize how sensitive those rear brakes are. So I found myself backwards, sitting in the hairpin backwards, and had to fire the car up and take off. So I will not use the rear brake again. That thing works way too well.
And Jimmy will get another chance when we move to Nations Cup competition. Right now, this is quarterfinal 4 for racing drivers and ROC buggies. Michael Schumacher, the Formula One world champion in red, up against Brazilian Felipe Massa, FIA President Max Mosley, among the crowd of 62,000 on hand for this event. And no question, Michael Schumacher is the star of the show. This event will benefit one of his personal charities, ICM, the Institute for Brain and Spinal Cord Disorders. But as it happened, the world champion was upset by the young Brazilian Massa. Afterward, Michael spoke with another familiar Speed Channel personality, Toby Moody.
Very tight out there, a bit tighter than Monaco.
Yeah, it was very tight, and it's Monaco atmosphere, but it's a lot more tight competition. Great deal.
It's maybe like sort of football stadium atmosphere, something very different from even Monza, maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean it's certainly different. I had a question like that before the event, but you can't really answer until you have been out there. The atmosphere is just amazing and fantastic.
Moving on to quarterfinal number 4 for rally drivers. In Peugeot, Sebastien Loeb with the red roof. He was a Citroën driver in 2004, winning the World Championship. Now he's in the rival Peugeot, racing Tony Kanaan of Brazil, the IRL champion. There's Loeb. Kanaan giving it a great run in the other lane. Kanaan has done some rally driving. But here he is up against the world champion. Smoking those Michelins off the corners. It is Kanaan taking the measure of the world champ. What a shot.
Tony, you beat Sebastien Loeb. Felipe beats Michael Schumacher. What's going on here?
That's a Brazilian team, man. Come on. They gave us a tough one, but we did our best. We're good. So we'll see what we're going to do now. So it was good. I like it a lot.
It was a fantastic run. And tell us about your run too, beating Michael, Felipe, very, very close.
Yeah, it was very close. I mean, it was fantastic for me as well. So I'm very happy. So I hope I can carry on, in this pace. But I'm really, really happy for myself. But I'm really much more happy for Tony because he beat the world champion of rally and he never drove a rally car. So this is really fantastic.
A new career for you now, Tony.
Yeah, you never know. And if Michael retire me or fire me one day, I might come back here and do some rally.
Fantastic. Good luck to you both.
Well, you can see that both Brazilians were elated, but as it turns out, officials say both Massa and Kanaan touched the wall during their runs. Automatic 10-second penalties, so Michael Schumacher and Sebastien Loeb advance. Let's get back down to Peter.
What happened there? What's going on with the organizers here?
I don't know, man. We're in French. He's a French champion, so I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I think they have the reasons, and if it happened, it happened. They said I touch. I haven't watched the tape. We must have it in tape, and but what they said in the drivers' meeting was, depends how you hit it, we're gonna judge. But I guess when you beat the world rally champion in a rally car in France, inside of the state of the France, they consider that pretty good. So,
well, in fairness to the world rally champion Sebastien Loeb, we were just talking to him a few minutes ago, and spontaneously he said, I feel really sorry for Tony because he was really, really quick, and he was really surprised how quick he worked.
I mean, Sebastien has nothing to do with that. That was somebody else's decision. He was really disappointed when they told him that he was gonna advance. He's going, no, you should go. I said, look, don't worry about it. I mean, he congratulated me, and just, I was here for the party, to put a good show, and I think inside myself I'm in peace, and I think I know what I did.
Well, a tough blow for both Brazilians, but then again, it's all in fun. Stay tuned, semifinals coming up. Welcome back to the Race of Champions on a cold December weekend in Paris. I'm Bob Barsha. Semifinals about to get underway. Matthias Ekström of Team Sweden squaring off against Marcus Grönholm, the Finn in the all-red car. On board with Ekström, his co-driver and event VIP. What a seat to have for this kind of action. There is Grönholm, two-time world champion and former winner of the Henry Toivonen Trophy, is the individual winner at the Race of Champions. There's Marcus. As they reach the finish, it was Grönholm taking the victory over Ekström by 1.3 seconds plus. Next, rally drivers in Citroëns. Armin Schwartz of Germany in red, Sebastien Loeb of France, who got by Tony Kanaan on an official's ruling that Kanaan touched the wall in the previous round. Launching the car over the crossover. Fabulous technology in these cars, 300 horsepower, sequential gearboxes. Perfect for this kind of tight action inside the Stade de France. Loeb takes the victory. Colin McRae, David Coulthard, and their ladies look on. Here's a look at the other half of the brackets. Kovalainen will take on Jean Alesi, and Sebastien Bourdais will meet Michael Schumacher. Here they are, our first look at the Ferrari 360 Modena Challenge cars. Alesi in the silver Modena, HEIKKI Kovalainen in the red. These are 400 horsepower, 3.7 liter V8 machines, 6-speed Formula One style paddle shifts, but they weigh about 2,600 pounds. And that, plus the longer wheelbase than the ROC buggies or the WRC cars, as Michael Schumacher mentioned, probably not the best application for these cars. Kovalainen takes another victory, or this time over Alesi. Once again, here's Peter Windsor.
Heikki, that was a fantastic run against Jean Alesi, who's not slow in 360 Ferraris.
No, I know. I was losing a little bit after the first lap, but I knew that the first lap wasn't great. I had some problems with the tires because they were very cold. But as soon as I got some grip on the tires, I pushed a bit more, and I managed to take it to my advantage.
You notice that cracked windshield as we look at Michael Schumacher, who meets Sebastien Bourdais in our second semifinal in the racing division. Schumacher in the silver car, Bourdais in the red. That cracked windshield came from leaping these cars over the crossover, so a chicane has now been added. Hay bales on the crossover. Watch for them. Thrill for that passenger to be sitting next to the 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher as he threads the needle through the chicane. Michael Schumacher forging a big lead over Sebastien Bourdais to take the victory and move on to the racing driver final. 3.2 seconds separates Schumacher from Bourdais. It'll be HEIKKI Kovalainen against Michael Schumacher in the racing class final. Plenty of entertainment between heats here at the Race of Champions in the Stade de France in Paris. This is Terry Grant, who puts on a great show in his donut-burning Legends car. More on him a little later on. Right now, it's the final for racing drivers in Ferrari 360 Modena Challenge machinery. HEIKKI Kovalainen in the red car from Finland against 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher in the silver car right there. Watch Michael's eyes, looking well ahead of where the car is in the turn. But the big surprise of the evening was the youngest man in the competition, 23-year-old HEIKKI Kovalainen of Finland, beating Michael Schumacher for the racing division victory. Jean Todt, Ferrari team manager, looking a little plussed by the whole deal, but what a thrill for Kovalainen. And he wants to share it with all 62,000 people here in the Stade de France. So here's a look at the rally half of the bracket. It will be Sebastian Loeb against Marcus Grönholm in a matchup of World Rally Champions.
Hey, well done, HEIKKI. Fantastic. Great job, eh? I think you had the edge right at the start there.
Yeah, good job.
That's good enough.
Great start, eh?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I don't know halfway if Michael was leading a little bit. But again, I had new tires in the car, so it took a little while to get up to speed, but well, it was good.
Looked like you had fun on the roof of the car afterwards.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
A great atmosphere here.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. I mean, a lot of people, it's full grandstand, and it's definitely a nice place to win the race here, especially to beat Michael Schumacher.
Well done.
Thanks.
I wonder if they're going to charge him for the dents in the roof. Time now for the Rally Division final. Sebastian Loeb against Marcus Grönholm. A rematch of the Race of Champions final from the last 2 years. Grönholm won it 2 years ago, Loeb last year. Loeb with the white roof right there. Sliding it through the corners. Using the brakes to get the back of the car moving. And then leaping over the crossover. This massive crowd willing Sebastian Loeb to the line, and he will take the victory with his Citroën teammates looking on. Loeb over Granholm to advance to the final. Meanwhile, under the stadium, HEIKKI Kovalainen is getting instructions in how to drive a World Rally car as he prepares for the final. Let's go to Peter.
Perfect run.
Yes, very good run. It was very close with Marcus. He was a bit in front after the first lap, and I had to give everything I can for the second lap, but it was okay. I've done a good race, and so for the moment it's going well.
Well, Sebastian Loeb tucks himself into his car, preparing for the final. We'll take a quick break as the entertainment rolls on. We'll be right back to the Race of Champions. Welcome back to Paris on the Stade de France, site of the 2004 Race of Champions. I'm Bob Marshall along with Peter Windsor, ready for the super final for the Toivonen Trophy. Sebastian Loeb against young HEIKKI Kovalainen, who has been the upset spectacle of this weekend thus far. They're in matched Peugeot 307s, and that would give the advantage to Loeb. This is a best-of-3 format now, so Kovalainen has a little bit of time to work with, although he hasn't been in this WRC Peugeot all night. In fact, it's the first time in his life he'll have driven an all-wheel drive car with triple electronically controlled differentials, the shift ring on the steering column. To the line they come, very close at this point. It appears that Kovalainen will take the victory over Loeb. So the Cinderella story of the 2004 Race of Champions continues.
It's incredible, it's crazy, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying every minute.
It's an interesting race. It's very, very fast. So I made a mistake, but I didn't lose some time. And he was also very quick. So I think it will be very difficult. We'll see.
So Heat 1 goes to the young Finn Kovalainen as we switch to the 360 Modena Challenge cars for Heat number 2. If Kovalainen wins it, it's over. If Loeb wins, we'll go on to the rubber match in round 3 in the ROC buggies. There's Loeb. And the better getaway is by the young Finn Kovalainen, 6-time winner in the World Series by Nissan Championship this year. Now we'll show you all 4 laps of this final round shootout. The advantage on the first lap is to the inner lane. The track is like a Mobius strip. You have to make 2 loops to complete 1 full run of the circuit. Kovalainen with the advantage and the lead as they complete the first of 2. But now he has the more difficult, the tighter, slower inside loop, while Loeb can get up to a higher speed. Once again, the crowd behind Loeb as they come around to the intermediate halfway point. Kovalainen sliding that car off the corner. There's the gap. 1.8 seconds in favor of Sebastian Loeb. Michael Schumacher looking on with wife Corinna. Loeb through the chicane. Oh! Someone hit a barrier. I'm not sure who it was. Kovalainen holding his advantage one more time around. Listen to that crowd. Neither man driving a car he's familiar with, so it's a challenge to both of them. And there's the penalty to Loeb. It was he who hit the barrier in the chicane, and that is it. HEIKKI Kovalainen will become the youngest man to win.
Fantastic. First of all, just talk about that winning the rally. That was just unbelievable to beat Loeb in that car.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unbelievable. And just in this last Ferrari, you know, I could feel that maybe the rear tires are very old because it was sliding a lot. I mean, I was sideways everywhere, and I think Loeb had new tires, so probably it was a little bit of advantage for him. But, you know, I heard he hit the barrier, so, you know, you're going to hit the barrier, so I'm very happy to win it.
Well, I'm not sure if he understands that he has won the first 2 heats and is therefore the champion. Now he knows. The youngest man to win the overall individual championship and the first pavement circuit driver to win it. Here's Peter.
It's a regulation. It's a regulation. At the start, we know if we hit just a bit aside of the road, it's a 10-second penalty. And it's normal. They have to put a limit somewhere. If you can hit a bit, you can hit a bit more and more, and it's no limit. So that's very strict. But
what exactly caused you to do that?
It was for the Ferraris. I put some chicane on the bridge, and it's very narrow. And I came in, and I didn't feel that I hit it. After the race, for me, I won the round, and when I arrived at the stand, they told me you are out. You hit something. So.
Well, there is KOVALAINEN now, secure in the knowledge that he has won the Henri Toivonen Trophy, the champion of champions, and the youngest man ever to win the race of champions. Back to Peter.
Well, thanks, Bob. Yes, as the celebrations wind down behind me on this great victory for HEIKKI KOVALAINEN, I've got to say that we've just witnessed the birth of a new superstar. Regardless of the status of this event, it is, of course, a one-off. This guy beat Sebastien Loeb in a rally one-on-one, and he beat Michael Schumacher one-on-one in Ferraris. I was fortunate a couple of weeks ago, as it happened, to work with HEIKKI in the north of England, analysing his driving and style, just in a road car, but just looking at how he performed in various situations. And his coordination and his feel and his touch is just sublime. This is the birth of a new superstar. He's under a Renault Formula One contract right now. We won't see him immediately in Formula One, but when he arrives, he undoubtedly will take the sport by storm.
I agree, Peter. Hopefully we'll see him as a third driver on Fridays as Speed Channel brings you the Formula One World Championship next year. In a moment, the Nations Cup. Powered by 1.1-liter motorcycle engines from Honda, 6-speed sequential gearboxes, about 170 horsepower, but just 1,045 pounds. These are the quickest cars around this racetrack. Schumacher taking the Heat 1 victory by 0.1334 seconds. So in the interest of fairness, they switch cars. This time Loeb is in the red buggy. Schumacher looking over at his opponent from the white one. And Schumacher with a great hole shot. You notice Sebastien Loeb wearing goggles now. He didn't wear them earlier. He was having trouble with his eyes watering. Very cold evening in this outdoor stadium in Paris. And this time around, it was Loeb picking up the victory by 0.3 of a second over his Formula One rival. Now to Heat 3, the rubber match between the two 2004 world champions. Winner take all, Schumacher in the white car, Loeb in red. No goggles this time for Loeb. And he gets a good start on the inside track. We'll follow this entire race. Michael sliding the car like a rally star. Loeb flying off the overpass. His car's running on treaded Michelin tires. Schumacher with the advantage, but now he's on the slower inner loop. See if Loeb can make up the difference. Car's hitting about 85 miles an hour on these short straightaways. To the intermediate point. There it is, Schumacher by 0.4 of a second. Loeb on the slower inner loop. Oh, you can see Loeb's eyes watering. Both men very relaxed. Once more around. Now it's Schumacher on the slower inner loop. And the crowd behind their countryman Loeb. Final corners. Schumacher with the advantage. Loeb gets into the inside barrier, and Michael Schumacher will take the Battle of Champions by 0.9 of a second over Sebastien Loeb. Michael congratulated by his Ferrari team manager Jean Todt. There is Loeb. That's a great picture. Look at some of the highlights from the event. I wonder if that central seating position, very familiar for Michael Schumacher, not so much for Sebastian Loeb. I wonder if it gave him any discomfort. There are the 2004 world champions saluting the crowd here in the Stade de France. We'll take a break, and then it's time for the team competition. The Nations Cup is coming up. The Race of Champions Nations Cup is the World Cup of motorsport. National teams made up of one circuit racer and one rally driver, or a driver with some loose surface experience, compete for the title of the fastest nation on Earth. The Cup was created in 1999. Finland won that year, France in 2000, Spain in 2001, Team USA in 2002, and a special international all-star team won last year. And of course, it's all in fun. Now here's how the competition will line up. Both the quarter and semifinals are run in a best 2 out of 3 format. The final, 3 out of 5 heats. First up will be Finland versus Sweden. Racing drivers in Ferrari 360 Modena Challenge cars. HEIKKI KOVALAINEN, winner of the individual championship, racing Kenny Breck in the silver car. Real challenge to get these 360s around these tight corners. Round to the finish they come. And Kovalainen will easily continue his winning streak. Problems for Kenny Breck. Finland leads 1 heat to none. Meanwhile, backstage, there's American Casey Mears getting strapped into his Ferrari. His opponent will be from the British team in just a moment. First, though, it's Marcus Gronholm against Matthias Ekström in the rally cars. Gronholm with the red roof, Ekström with the white. Close race. Both drivers were hazing the hides. Finally came around. It was Gronholm taking the victory and Finland eliminating Sweden. So we have our first winning team. Finland will move on to meet the winner of the matchup between Team USA and the team from the United Kingdom. So let's get right to it. Formula One star David Coulthard up against Casey Mears in a battle of Ferraris. Great getaway for Mears. Keep in mind, Casey has no practice whatsoever in this car on this temporary circuit. Looks like he had a little problem there. Maybe that steering column mounted Formula One style paddle shifter. Watch out for the chicane. You cannot touch those bales. And Coulthard with the early advantage as they come around on the first pass. Now Mears is on the longer radius of the outer circuit, so he'll be able to let that 360 stretch its legs a bit. Coulthard very careful through the chicane. Mears looks to have made up that advantage and perhaps gained some breathing space over the Brit. Here comes the intermediate split. Right along the inside rail goes Mears, and he leads by 1.1 seconds plus. Crowd's relatively quiet, so you can hear him working the gas. Oh, this is close. They'll have one more circuit to go, and Mears sliding that Ferrari on Pirelli tires all over this fresh asphalt surface. Mears using every inch of the racetrack. Getting the bite off the corner. Coulthard may have had problems because MEARS easily will win by 2.7 seconds to put the USA up 1-0. There's Colin McRae coming to the line. He'll go up against Jimmy Johnson. First, here's Peter Windsor.
Casey, an outstanding drive there against David Coulthard, who should be very quick in these Ferraris, but you blew him away.
It's definitely different. It's different for him as well. You know, I mean, I haven't really done these cars before, and he really hasn't driven the Ferrari either, you know, so pretty equal ground.
I hate to correct that. He was actually testing at Fiorano last week.
Oh, was he really? Okay, well, that's my second time in it, so hopefully we get better next time.
But it's a real Ryder Cup team atmosphere here. I see you going down to have a word to Jimmy there. The pressure's off him a little bit, but how do you think he'll go now in the rally car?
I think he'll be just fine, you know. I mean, he's really good in the rally car, and he proved that, you know, a couple years ago, doing really well here. So different course, but you know, Jimmy will figure it out. It won't take him long.
Well done.
Watch him on TV.
Well, we'll see how Jimmy Johnson does. A member of the winning team with Jeff Gordon and former World Superbike champion Colin Edwards 2 years ago. Johnson in the all-red car on the inside. Gray with the white roof on the outside. Now, in all fairness to Colin McRae, this is hardly a fair fight. Jimmy Johnson tries to get used to these cars against a man who has made a very good living in them for many years. In fact, Colin McRae drove this very car, the Citroën, in 2003 when he was teamed with Sebastian Loeb and Carlos Sainz. A three-car effort for Citroën in the World Rally Championship. Johnson giving it a good run, though. David Coulthard, Michael Schumacher, and others looking on. Here's the intermediate. McRae by over 3 seconds. Now, if he holds on to win, it'll force a third and final heat between the UK team and the Americans. It's on board McRae's car. Smoke billowing out of the wheel wells as those front wheels come to grips with this new asphalt surface. Oh, problems for Johnson. Not sure if he hit the wall. No, looks like he just came to a stop. And McRae will catch him because this is essentially a one-lane racetrack that doubles back on itself to form the 2 lanes for the drivers to race on at the same time. David Coulthard, a relief for him. There will be another round for Team United Kingdom as Colin McRae defeats Jimmy Johnson, and we are all tied. Casey MEARS climbs in. It'll all be up to him when we return to the Stade de France.
The Netscape in
Great Britain. Right now, let's go down to Peter Windsor with more on what happened to his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Peter?
Looked like you were stuck in gear there, man.
Yeah, I went from third to second, and the car, you know, stalled out on me. And I didn't understand why. And I looked at the number for which gear I was in. It was in 5th gear, and it wouldn't come out of 5th gear. And then I finally, once Colin came and was in my lane behind me, I saw him in the mirror. I finally got it to go into 1st gear in the manual mode, and then was able to drive it back around.
Well, it's a shame there's not been too much mechanical problems tonight. It's a shame it had to hit you.
Yeah, it's part of it, but I'm here to have fun. Had a long NASCAR season, and I'm here to have fun.
And Casey did a great job in that Ferrari.
Good. Casey's got to carry me because I didn't do my job on that run.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jimmy can't be too hard on himself, and we want to wish him many congratulations on his upcoming marriage. Right now, it all rests on Casey MEARS. He goes up against David Coulthard in this winner-take-all race in the ROC buggies, and it's Coulthard getting the whole shot. Here's in white on the outside. Winner of this race moves on. The losers go home. A bit of a return to his roots for Casey MEARS, who, like most of the MEARS family, raced in the desert, as did Jimmy Johnson as a young racing driver. Never quite like this, though, on an asphalt temporary circuit in front of 62,000 fans and a worldwide television audience. Going around to the intermediate. It's Coulthard with a slight advantage. 0.6 of a second. Coulthard with closing in on 200 career Formula One starts for just 2 teams. Still looking for a ride in 2005. Has a shot with the Red Bull team, the former Jaguar team. We hope to see DC on the grid in 2005. Final circuit now. Casey Mears giving it everything he's got. Up and over. Oh, this is going to be close. But Coulthard has the shorter radius, and he holds on to defeat Mears and send the United Kingdom team into the next round. There they will meet the Finnish team. Right now, here's Peter Windsor with Casey Mears.
That was very, very close, Casey, all the way.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Great time. Come a long way, you know, to run short, but it was fun. Had a blast. I mean, racing with some of the best guys in the world. Just to get to race with guys like that is a lot of fun. Twice it popped into neutral going over the bridge. I was like, wop, wop, yeah, I had to go back into first. So struggle with that a little bit, but it was a blast. I mean, just to come here, like I said, and run is a good time.
Well, just beaten by David Coulthard, who's won a lot of Grand Prix in a very good career. So that means that if you'd been in Formula One for the last 5 or 6 years, you probably would have won 8 or 9 races by now in Formula One.
Totally different discipline, but he won one, I won one. Good day, a lot of fun.
Well, we'll pardon Casey his French. After all, he is in Paris. Now it's Germany versus Brazil. Michael Schumacher in the red Ferrari 360 Modena against Felipe Massa. Remember, this was the matchup in the first round of the individual championship, and Massa beat Schumacher before he was docked for touching a barrier. Because these are the Ferraris, then we will have a chicane on the overpass. Well, Schumacher should go faster than that. Jean Todt looking on. Schumacher has a problem. And Michael Schumacher is beaten by Felipe Massa again. Toby Moody has more.
Michael Schumacher, an unlucky loser there.
No, a stupid loser, because I thought the race was finished before I crossed actually the line. I thought I was on the other side because I got a bit confused and sort of gave it away because I thought I was a little bit in front. Anyway, good fun so far.
So Michael Schumacher's problem was he miscounted the laps. Rather embarrassing for a 7-time world champion. Now the rally drivers in the Peugeot 307 models, and a huge broad slide there from Armin Schwartz battling Tony Kanaan. Remember, Kanaan won in the first round of the individual championship, but like Massa was disqualified or penalized for 10 seconds for touching a barrier. Tony Kanaan looking very comfortable in this World Rally car. Something he may want to do more of. Coming around, Schwartz still sliding the car hard. But Tony Kanaan, with his wife looking on, will push Brazil over the top against Germany.
And Tony, congratulations. Another fantastic run and no penalties this time, eh?
Well, I hope not. I hope they don't find anything. They're going to say my nose is too big or something like that, but we just had to do it.
I don't know if you can see it, but Armin was just smoking those tires at the end to try and catch you.
Well, it was fun. It was fun. I'm having a lot of fun in these rally cars. Hopefully, I won't keep this drive style next year for the IRL, otherwise I won't be good.
Okay, well, let you get on. Well done, eh?
Thank you.
And there's Armin Schwartz congratulating Tony Kanaan, rally star, on a great run. Maybe Tony got a little practice in his native Brazil. We'll be back. Back at the Race of Champions, it's an all-French quarterfinal. Jean ALESI for Team France against Sebastien Bourdais, the Champ Car champion, driving for the special team PlayStation. Always enormously popular in Formula One and now in touring cars. Off the final corner, ALESI with the advantage over his countryman. Oh, Bourdais sliding that Ferrari off the corner, but it won't help. ALESI takes the victory by just under a second. On to Heat 2, the rally drivers in Peugeot. Sebastien Loeb in the red car, Stefan Sarazan with the white roof. And there is the world champion using that technology of the modern WRC car for all it's worth. Sarazan is no slouch himself. In fact, he has been signed, it's just been announced, to partner Petter Solberg in Subaru's WRC Challenge for 2005, running a limited schedule. Not sure whether Mikko Hirvonen will remain in the car for the rest of the time. Off the line, Loeb easily taking the measure of his countrymen. So the PlayStation team is now out. Team France will meet Brazil in the semifinals. On track now, Heikki Kovalainen in the red ROC buggy, taking on David Coulthard as Finland meets Great Britain. What a weekend for Kovalainen. As you look at DC, Kovalainen unbeaten so far. Youngest man in the competition, a few months younger than Felipe Massa with Team Brazil. He is having a dream weekend, and here he easily outdistances Coulthard to take Heat 1 for the Finns. And there's the international crowd favorite, the Wave. Colin McRae, very calm in his matchup with Marcus Gronholm in the Peugeot 307s. Now this is Marcus Gronholm's normal drive at the World Rally Championship, so he should have a big advantage here, even against another world champion in Colin McRae right there. That's Marcus. Gronholm easily takes the victory, pushing Finland over the top while Great Britain is out. Remains to be seen whether it will be Brazil or France meeting Finland in the Nations Cup final. Here's Peter Winter.
That was a fantastic win against Colin McRae. Not an easy man to beat.
No, but now the car was easy to drive. I don't know. It was good, and it's a Peugeot.
Good plug, Marcus. Car he is very familiar with. We'll take a break. Brazil versus France on the other side. Can Tony Kanaan work his magic again? Come back, there's Sebastian Loeb giving some feedback to the Peugeot engineers against whom he races in his Citroën during the World Rally Championship. On track right now, it's Brazil versus France in the semifinals. This is Heat 1 in the ROC buggies. Felipe Massa in red and Jean Alesi in white. You can tell from the crowd there is a Frenchman on track. Alesi with that flamboyant driving style, just sawing away at the wheel and coming to the line. He takes the victory over Massa. So it is 1-0 for France. Now here comes his teammate Sebastian Loeb, who will meet Tony Kanaan. Kanaan on the right, Loeb on the left. Oh, and Kanaan stalls the car. And the crowd goes crazy. But Kanaan has refired, and he is intent on making it up. Forward with Loeb. No chance for Tony the Tiger as Loeb smokes the tires off the corner, gives it a little extra flourish at the line, and France moves into the final to meet Finland for the Nations Cup. So Brazil is out. It'll be France versus Finland. As the drivers and cars get ready, there's a break in the action. We'll have the final coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
And so did the final of the Nations Cup. Two experienced rally stars, Sebastian Loeb and Marcus Gronholm. We've seen them before in the Race of Champions. It's the third time they're going head-to-head. Jean Alesi, that very experienced ex-Formula One driver, now extremely quick in DTM, against the new young hotshot, Heikki Kovalainen. Already he's won tonight in the Race of Champions. Will he be the deciding factor?
Thank you, Peter. Once again, the final will be 3 out of 5 in heats. The first nation with 3 victories wins the Nations Cup. First up in the ROC buggies, HEIKKI KOVALAINEN. The Cinderella story of this year's Race of Champions races this man, Jean ALESI, in the white buggy. And coming to the line, once again, it is KOVALAINEN working his magic and beating ALESI to make it 1-0 for Finland. On to Heat 2, the rally drivers in Citroën. Sebastian Loeb in his own race car against this man, Marcus Gronholm. The thing that always amazes me about rally drivers is flying through the water splashes and all the dust and dirt of the World Championship. They never blink their eyes. HEIKKI directs Sebastian Loeb's Citroën World Rally effort. Looking on approvingly, no surprise, I suppose, that driving the car he is most familiar with, Sebastian Loeb defeats Marcus Gronholm, evening the score. France won, Finland won. And the crowd is loving this. On to the Ferrari 360 Modena Challenge cars. Heat 3, racing drivers HEIKKI KOVALAINEN in silver and Jean ALESI in red. #201 Grand Prix starts for Jean ALESI, and of course one victory in Canada in 1995. After that victory, he threw his helmet into the stands. ALESI with a penalty. He must have touched the chicane. Goes on to take the victory, but with the 10-second penalty, it will be 2-1 Finland over France. On to Heat 4. Loeb in his rally car. There's Marcus Gronholm. Gronholm could clinch it for France. Flew it out the front of Gronholm's car, but no matter, we're on our way. We'll watch this entire run. Gronholm with the white roof, hoping to lock up the Nations Cup for Finland. Oh, side by side. Coming around to complete the first loop. You see the advantage of being on the shorter radius inner loop. But that is the tighter track as ALESI and KOVALAINEN look on from under the stadium stands. Dancing on the throttle, working the brake. Here comes the intermediate as you ride with Loeb. Loeb by a little over a full second. And once again, they are wheel to wheel. Last lap. Slight advantage for Gronholm. See if Loeb can get by him. What a great battle of World Rally champions. Two-time champion Gronholm, 2004 titleist Loeb. Off the corner comes Loeb, and he will take the victory.
Well, Bob, race number 5 then is the playoff. It's Jean ALESI, all reflexes, fantastic style, early turn-in, early apex, incredible use of the brakes against the new young star of the motorsporting world, HEIKKI KOVALAINEN, being strapped in now into his 360 Modena Ferrari. He's beaten ALESI once already in the Ferrari. Can he do it again? ALESI getting younger by the day, it appears.
Thanks, Peter. There's Terry Grant destroying another set of tires. It is great fun to watch. But kids, do not try this at home. We'll be back for the final. The atmosphere has been electric in the Stade de France as the world's greatest racing drivers and racing nations have fought through eliminations to bring us down to 2 fighting for the honor fastest nation on earth. One race, winner take all, Finland versus France. And what would be more appropriate than HEIKKI KOVALAINEN at 23 years of age taking on the ageless Jean ALESI, 40 if you're counting. And this is for the championship. ALESI there in the silver Ferrari. The crowd going absolutely crazy. But where is KOVALAINEN? There, the young Finn. Is he having a problem? After such an incredible evening, undefeated coming into this final match when it counts the most, it appears that HEIKKI KOVALAINEN is having a problem with his car. As Peter Windsor pointed out earlier, there have been very few mechanical problems, but it appears that one has reared its ugly head right now. Jean ALESI driving with all of the flair of his 3-decade career in motorsports in front of his home fans. KOVALAINEN trying to get around. Looks like he was looking down there as though he was having a gearbox problem or a brake problem of some kind. While ALESI giving it everything. And ALESI will catch up to KOVALAINEN, as Colin McRae did to Jimmy Johnson earlier. Tough to pass on this 22-foot wide racetrack. Basically, Jean ALESI has a lap in hand. There's no way he can lose this, so he can take his time. Fist pumping out the window already. Well, now what's he doing? ALESI's getting out of his car. He's not done. He hasn't reached the finish yet. What is this? Where is KOVALAINEN? If he can get around, he can still pull out this victory. What is Jean ALESI? Oh, wait a minute. KOVALAINEN too. He wants to leave the racetrack, but the officials are telling him no. ALESI has stopped. Continue on. Now ALESI is back in. No belts, but no problem. Oh, that is the most amazing thing. Jean ALESI saving himself from the most acute embarrassment. Is he going to give the helmet a heave again? He did it in his Formula One days. He did it in his debut in the DTM, the German Touring Car Championship, and now one lucky fan is going to go home with Jean ALESI's helmet. There's French sports car legend Henri Pescarolo, a part of this big crowd cheering home their heroes. ALESI on the right, LOEB on the left. We're sad to see that gray hair on the temples of Jean ALESI. And there is KOVALAINEN accepting commiseration from ALESI and Gronholm. Let's hear what happened to HEIKKI KOVALAINEN in that dramatic final.
As soon as I lined up the car on the start-finish line, I saw the warning light for the battery, for the low battery voltage, and you know, I tried to make a normal start, and I put the foot down, and as soon as I got some speed, the car just stopped to go, and it was obvious that, you know, the battery was empty in the car, and I couldn't, you know, I tried to keep the foot down and tried to, you know, attack, but the car wasn't moving, so unlucky.
Can you just quantify tonight in terms of your career, of the things you've achieved, how much tonight means to you?
It's obviously very important for me. You know, I won probably the main event, and, you know, got to the final in this other event as well. So it's probably a little bit of a surprise for everybody. Whatever I'm going to do next year, I hope, you know, I can do a good job and win some races, and maybe the year after then I can step into the Formula One car with some good people.
We look forward to it. Well done.
Well done indeed. A bright future ahead for HEIKKI KOVALAINEN. Now let's get back down to Peter with one half of our winning team, Jean ALESI.
Tell us, did you think you'd cross the finish line at the end of that race there?
No, but, you know, I thought he was out of the race because he was just on the front before. So I give up, you know. Then I understand I have to go back and to cross the finish line.
Jean, you're driving...
You know, I'm always making trouble.
An amazing evening, eh?
Yeah, fantastic. Really something I will never forget. And the organization was fantastic.
And so the slowest race of the evening by far determines the Nations Cup as Jean ALESI defeats HEIKKI KOVALAINEN. It's a great event, and we saw some great action all night long. Now let's go to Peter Windsor for his final thoughts on the Race of Champions.
Well, thanks, Bob. I speak with a cavernous Stade de France behind me now, empty of the 62,000 spectators that watched the event today, and I think that's testament enough to its success. The logistics were tortuous, and yet, nonetheless, it worked. The cream came to the surface. The drivers that put in the effort, that drove well, actually succeeded in the end. Special mention, I think, should be made of the American team, who under difficult circumstances, with Jeff obviously not very well, and Casey Mears having to stand in for him, did a very good job. Casey, very decent, I thought, in that race against David Coulthard. Marcus Granholm, a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless backed up his teammate very well. The find of the evening, the man of the moment, undoubtedly, HEIKKI KOVALAINEN. This guy has amazing talent. He was very quick in rallying. He was very quick in the racing sector. He is a driver of the future. He's under contract to Renault, but I suspect it'll be very, very soon that we see him in Formula One.
I agree, Peter, and perhaps it's a touch ironic that when Michael Schumacher, the 7-time Formula One world champion, makes his Race of Champions debut, the star is a Formula One megastar of the future in HEIKKI KOVALAINEN. Event organizers Frederick Johnson and Michel Mouton say the success of the event this year in Paris could lead to regional competitions around the world, leading to a final here at the Stade de France, perhaps around in the United States. I'm Bob Barsha for Toby Moody and Peter Windsor. Thanks for joining us. So long from the Race of Champions.